All right, what's up, everybody? This is the City Hall building here in the city of Virginia Beach. I was in there a couple of days ago paying my personal property taxes for my Nissan Cube. And a little bit a side note for those of us in Virginia Beach, tax due date is June 19th, as the sign out front of City Hall is letting us know. So I was in there a couple of days ago paying my personal property taxes, and for my box on wheels, it was only like $49 and some change. So, which is another reason that I'm going to hold on to that box on wheels a little while longer, because my property taxes will be low. But in my videos, you guys have seen me. I think my DMV Select video where I was talking about getting my vehicle registration. You guys have seen me in this parking lot right here that we're walking to. It's Sunday, by the way. It's Father's Day. So happy Father's Day once again. My son this morning is with my brother in church, because I'm not a church guy, my brother is, and my son, who lives with his mom most of the time, he's used to going to church, so I always let him go to church, or pretty much most of the time with my brother when they go. So, but you can see the beach flag is still at half mast, the national ensign, and also the state flag are back at full mast. And there's the box on wheels, but you guys see me here. Well, the building that the shit went down in, as Cypress Hill would say, is right here. There's the box on wheels. By now, many of you have seen in Hampton Roads, but the building where things went down is like right here. And the last time that I read anything on the news about anything, it was saying that the FBI had turned this building here back over to the beach police, and the beach police, of course, are still in the midst of doing their investigation here in the operations building 2. And we'll either have or either will be returning this building here back to the people of the city of Virginia Beach soon. But by the looks of the barricades here and on the other side of the building that I'm going to show you in a minute, they probably haven't released it yet to the general public. But this is where it went down here in this building here. And I'm bringing this up to you guys in this video because there's a news story that I want to share with you guys that is, in my opinion, it's related. It happened at a different place, and it happened involving a Lyft driver. And I want to talk about what happened here, and I also want to talk about what happened with that Lyft driver, as I share an article with you guys here, coming up on this episode of Ride Share 757. So that is the backside of the City Hall building itself. Building 1, that's the backside of building 2, where the stuff went down at. And again, you can see over here the barriers and the yellow tape. They've got it still, of course, blocked off there. What's here though on the backside of the building is what I want to show you guys real quick. And it's been what, 2 weeks now, 3 weeks now, probably about 2-3 weeks now since this happened, unfortunately. And the city still has this part of the road behind the operations building partially blocked off here, and you guys can see that there. And for those of us in Virginia Beach, we probably most of us already seen this in person, but for those of you who do not live in Virginia Beach or not in Hampton Roads, the 757, you probably haven't seen this. And some of these flowers have been here for a while. You see they're starting to wither, but some of them are brand new, people coming by and paying their respects and so forth. And you can kind of get a sense of scale of basically along a good part of the back end of operations building. You have that right there, or have this right here rather. So there's a couple of things I want to talk about in this video, but they are very much related in my opinion, and I want to get into this news article with you guys and talk to you further about it. All right, well, we find some shade here on this hot Father's Day real quick. I want to get into this article with you guys. Okay, so this article is, give me a moment, there we go, from Fox 13 Salt Lake City. This is a week ago now. In CNN Wire, it says rideshare driver picks up suspected gunman fleeing from a crime scene. There's a mugshot there of a gentleman from the Portland Police Department. Or I'm sorry, Portage. I said Portland. Portage Police Department. Portage, Indiana. A routine pickup for a Northwest Indiana Lyft driver took an unexpected and dangerous turn on Tuesday. Remember, this is over a week old. The driver, who does not want his name used, picked up 20-year-old Asa Ermar Eswati, difficult to pronounce that name, sorry, in Portage's Camelot Manor mobile home park that afternoon. I picked him up in the past, and we've talked, and there's never been any kind of, you know, nothing's really wrong, or nothing really wrong. Yeah, nothing wrong really, he said. Yeah, I screwed that up. He didn't know. What he didn't know was at that time, police say Ishtahi, I'm going to just call him I because it's easier to say that. You can read it for yourself, link in the description, had just opened fire 2 blocks away, leaving behind bullet holes in homes and narrowly missing an older woman. Another subject inside the trailer was lying on the couch, was struck in the foot by one of the rounds, said Portage Police Chief Troy Williams. Williams said officers flooded the area just before the suspect's getaway Lyft arrived. I got, not as an I, but I'm going to call him IS. That makes it easier. IS, I'm not trying to butcher the guy's name, got in the back, the suspect. I even asked him, I said, hey, you have any idea why all these police are out here? You heard anything? He was like, no, man, the driver said, and the Lyft driver slowly pulled away and just kind of drove slow by the officers, which allowed Officer Howard to see inside the back of the vehicle, and he could see the suspect, said Williams. The officer followed and determined that IS, the suspect, demanded the suspect get out of the Ford Focus. He was arrested, and then authorities found a Glock under the front passenger seat. And of course, they're back to talking to the driver again. The driver was saying, not that I can really forget about that part, because that's where my danger came in at, said the Lyft driver. He could have pointed at me, he said, hey, keep driving, or, you know, he could have shot me, which is very true. There's a high potential for danger in this entire call, said Williams. Now back to the Lyft driver. Lyft driver says, my mom wants me to quit, but I like driving for Lyft and Uber, said the driver, which is true. A lot of drivers like driving rideshare, including myself. When tour buses are slow, you guys know I drive rideshare here in 757. You know, and sometimes because of my channel, when buses are not slow, I'll drive some too, because, you know, I want you guys to see I'm still a driver. So, but anyway, I'll leave a link to that article in the description, and let me give you guys my thoughts real quick on that. And again, this is credit to Fox 13 Salt Lake City, CNN Wire, and I'm trying to see if there is a name attached to who wrote the article, and I don't see a name attached to who wrote the article, so whoever it is, credit to them, but I'm looking, I don't see anything. But anyway, Link for this will definitely be in the description for you guys to read for yourselves. So what do I think about what happened here in Virginia Beach, and what I think about what happened in the story I'm sharing with you guys, and how both stories in a way are actually related? Well, here's the thing. Most city offices I've ever heard of, most city buildings I've ever heard of, a citizen, even a trained military veteran like myself, even if I have a concealed carry permit, normally you can't just walk into, you're not supposed to just walk into a municipal building with your weapon on you. You've got to leave it in your car or something like that if you're just an average citizen, or in my case, you're a veteran, a trained veteran who knows how to properly use a weapon, in fact, multiple weapons. And, you know, you can't do that. And tying this into rideshare with Uber and Lyft, and I'm sure Juno as well, while you're on the platform, while you actively are online, you're not supposed to have any kinds of weapons on you. Here's the problem with that. Nowadays, we have all kinds of different threats. You never know what's going to happen. Unfortunately, the threat that happened here in Virginia Beach wasn't more what we would call an internal threat, because it was somebody that worked here, or was or I think one article was saying was recently released from here, let go, didn't work, whatever. Basically an employee. In this situation, we have a Lyft driver who was picking up a regular customer that he knows, that he's driven before. And it turns out that that customer was involved in some kind of an active shooter situation there in Portage. And that, of course, the police obviously were after him. With the municipalities, the municipal buildings and so forth, and with rideshare, Uber, Lyft, I'm sure Juno as well, we're not supposed to carry firearms or knives or nothing like that. But here's the problem with that. And this is coming from somebody that used to be a special conservator of the peace, working with the Norfolk Police Department after my first time of 3 times being in the Navy, once active duty and twice as a reservist. I was a special conservator of the peace, and I worked with the Norfolk Sheriff's and Norfolk Police Department. I arrested many people on Military Circle Mall property, as I'm sure many of you by now know. The bad guys don't care about the law. I'm gonna say it again. Bad guys don't care about the law. Now I understand there's mental illness or something that's happened or whatever, but as soon as you start doing something like active shooting or whatever, you become a bad guy. They don't give a damn about the law. They don't give 2 shits about the law. Okay? Their mind is somewhere else. Mental, or they're just out straight up doing no good on purpose. Some people are sick. Some people are just on purpose evil. So if you have someone that doesn't give a damn about the law, and that probably doesn't care about human life at all, particularly your life, even if they know you, as unfortunately was demonstrated here, right? That's all the more reason that rideshare drivers like myself, many of you, and that all the more reason that at a minimum those that work in a said city or government building should be able to come to work armed. Let me take you back to, for those of you with short memories, to the Washington Navy Yard. As a Navy veteran, right? Naval Sea Systems Command facility, right? Washington Naval Yard. Remember a few years ago we had that guy up in there, the contractor that went off? He's in the Navy Yard. In the United States Navy, to this day, every sailor has to qualify on a minimum of the 9mm service pistol. Me, myself, personally, am qualified on the 9mm service pistol, 12 gauge service shotgun, M79 grenade launcher, I know it's old school, M60 machine gun, Claymore mine, M16A1, M16A2. Am I missing something? I probably am. So with all those veterans in there that day, the Navy Yard, for example, who were probably contractors, all the naval personnel around there that day who are trained, they could have stopped that active shooter that day at the Washington Navy Yard. But because of the policies put in place where even trained military personnel can't normally take their weapons on base, that did not happen. Even veterans can take their weapons on base. That didn't happen. So I'm wondering if the people in there that day were able to take their weapons with them to work, someone would have probably still died, but they would have been able to take out the active shooter faster, because with all due respect to law enforcement, the good cops, not the ones that violate your constitutional rights, but the good cops, the police, as the old saying says, only 5 minutes away. And this is a municipal center. The cops are close by. In fact, I'm pretty sure that that vehicle is probably a cop, and there's one on the other side there, probably a cop too, so, or some law enforcement of some kind. So they're always around, but still it might be 5 minutes away. You may not have 5 minutes. So if somebody in that building that day, if somebody at the Washington Navy Yard that day was armed, trained, military veteran, for example, preferably, ex-cop, right? They could have taken out the gunman quicker, and it would have been less loss of life because you have someone trained in those situations. When it comes to rideshare, a lot of us, especially in this area, we are active duty military, or like myself, we are veterans. We're all trained. If we were allowed to carry our firearms while we're actually logged on to the Uber system, logged on to the Lyft system, and for those of you in New York City, logged into Juno, then we have a much better chance of being able to defend ourselves in the event of an attack. How many videos have you guys seen now where rideshare drivers are attacked? Rideshare drivers are shot. Rideshare drivers are stabbed or whatever. Now, luckily here in this area, we don't have a lot of that, but things do happen. And this right here going on, it just punctuates the fact that not only do municipalities need to, at a minimum, allow their employees to be armed to protect themselves, because again, the police are only 5 minutes away, but it should also punctuate this story and what happened here, punctuate again to Uber, Lyft, and Juno, that they need to allow rideshare drivers to be able to protect ourselves. Because just like the people that were in there wanted to go home, I'm certain, to their families and friends on that day there, that fateful day, every rideshare driver out there I know, including myself, wants to go home at the end of the day, at the end of their shift. And it's time for municipalities, as well as Uber and Lyft, to allow rideshare drivers to be armed, and also to allow at a minimum for city or government employees to be armed, at least while they're at work, just in case these kinds of things like here, unfortunately, in Virginia Beach, and for those of you with short memories, at the Navy Yard in Washington a few years ago, happened. Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening to some common sense. Drive safely, and let's get